so clear that what we want and what we deserve is a Zoran administration. I am so proud to stand with the Democratic nominee the night before Election Day, because this is a critical moment. As someone who grew up right here in Queens in a one-bedroom apartment in a working-class family, I have seen it from day one that this city is too hard sometimes for our families and our working New Yorkers to afford. And in this moment, it's important because we have a chance to draw a line in the sand, to say that this is a city of workers, a city of people who believe and know that we can do better, to say that we reject a presidency that has cut off SNAP benefits for our own 2.9 million New Yorkers, to reject candidates that work with them when they kidnap people off of our streets, and instead to step up and stand up and say, we know we will win better with a Zoran administration. I have worked with our assembly member and who I know will be our future mayor, Zoran Mamdani, in the assembly as the state senator, and every single day in front of the cameras and behind the scenes, he has worked tirelessly for every single thing he believes in. I've seen him go on hunger strikes. I've seen him do sleep-ins. I've seen him run miles for people like us. But tomorrow, people like us need to show up for him. And I want to say thank you to everyone who has shown up to this point, because this campaign has proven itself. Over 100,000 volunteers. Woo! Over this Sunday alone, 160,000 doors knocked. Yeah. And the most votes in a primary ever in New York City. It is clear that there is a movement behind this campaign, and we have to remember to show up tomorrow at the polls. So for every New Yorker who is at home, who has not yet voted, who has seen someone in their circle or experienced themselves the unaffordability of this city, please, I am asking you to show up, because I know we've won great things before, and I know we can elect Zoran Mamdani to win great things. So with that, it is my immense honor to introduce my absolute incredible colleague and champion and fighter, Zoran Mamdani.
Good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you today, to be here alongside our borough president, our deputy majority leader, our state senator, our city councilwoman, and countless volunteers who are here for the final night of canvassing before the election. We know what is on the ballot. But I want to take a moment to speak about who is on the ballot tonight. Donald Trump just put out a statement encouraging New Yorkers, saying they must vote for Andrew Cuomo. We know and have known for months that Donald Trump would favor Andrew Cuomo as the mayor. They share the same donors. They share the same small vision. They share the same sense of impunity. And yet in these final days, what was rumored, what was feared, has become naked and unabashed. The MAGA movement's embrace of Andrew Cuomo is reflective of Donald Trump's understanding that this would be the best mayor for him. Not the best mayor for New York City, not the best mayor for New Yorkers, but the best mayor for Donald Trump as his administration. And for all those who question the feasibility of fighting for working people, we speak often about free buses, which cost about $700 million, I would invite you to look at another man who endorsed Andrew Cuomo today, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, for whom it only took $959 million in tax breaks from Andrew Cuomo when he was the governor for his pet projects to get that endorsement. Yep. More money than it would cost to make every single bus free in this city. So the question is not how we will pay for it, but whether we want to pay for it. Yes. And so we know, as you all go out tonight to knock on doors, that the New Yorkers you will find on the other side are New Yorkers who are increasingly feeling afraid of their own place in this city. New Yorkers who question whether they can send their children to school, whether they will be able to afford the next rent hike, whether they can actually get groceries with these SNAP cuts. New Yorkers who know that they are under attack from twin crises of an authoritarian administration on one side and the affordability crisis on the other. And as much focus as there is on polls and on predictions, I want you all to raise your hands for me one last time. If every person who is here to canvass can put their hands in the air, because these are the hands that will decide this election. These are the hands that will cast votes. These are the hands that will knock on doors. These are the hands that will call your neighbors. And these are the hands that have brought us to this point of making history in this city. Making history to show that when you focus and fight for working people, you can in fact remake the politics of the place that you call home. And I want to thank every person that's here. Because though it is tempting in electoral politics to ascribe an achievement to an individual, it is actually of a collective. And you are all the people who made that collective real. You are the New Yorkers who were with me this morning at 6, and the New Yorkers who are with me this evening at 7. The New Yorkers who have been standing alongside this fight for more than a year. And the reason that the President of the United States of America, the reason that one of the wealthiest men in the world are both trying to get involved at the last minute is that they know we will accomplish everything we have run on. That is what they fear. They fear the power of an example that can show that it need not be this hard to call this city home. It need not be this hard to afford to live in these 5 boroughs. And I thank you because you are on the verge of sharing that example with the world. So hold on to that example tonight. Hold on to it when you're going 10 consecutive not homes in your canvas. Hold on when you're in that second hour and you're asking yourself, should I walk up this 6th flight of stairs? Hold on to it when a person opens their door just a little bit and they show you the despair that they have long associated with politics. Hold on to it because you could open their eyes to a world that they have not seen in this city for so long. And as tempting as it is to think that everyone has been paying attention to this race, just last week a friend of mine, Charlie, knocked on doors in Hell's Kitchen. And he shared afterwards that he met a man who had yet to hear of this campaign. You may find a New Yorker for whom you are the person that introduces them to this fight. And that is why more important than me is you. You are the people who are bringing this fight to the doorsteps of New Yorkers. I will never be able to thank you enough for the privilege of being a part of this movement. And now, with close to just 24 hours until the polls close, let us leave everything out there on the field, my friends. Let us do it together. Let us work so hard this evening and tomorrow that we never have to ask ourselves the question, what if? Let that never be the words that leave our mouth, and let us instead breathe in the victory that each and every one of you have brought forth in this city. Thank you so much.
Zoran, what would your victory say to Donald Trump and to members of your own party who fear that your politics will harm the party in 26 and 28? Can you stand in front of the mics, please?
Everybody, yes. How are we all doing?
Yeah.
Got it? Okay.
This way.
Don't worry, guys. It's the last night. Donald Trump ran a presidential campaign with the promise of cheaper groceries. Donald Trump ran a presidential campaign committing to lowering the cost of living. What our success will show is that it is not enough to diagnose the despair in working class Americans' lives. You have to actually deliver on the agenda. And that is what we intend to do each and every day while we are in hall.
What about the reliance of members of your own party about your politics?
Look, if you're a member of my own party like 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo, I'd understand why you wouldn't support our politics. Because it's a direct challenge to everything that this former governor has stood for. A politics of impunity, a politics of selling out working class people at the behest of his billionaire donors, and a politics of telling New Yorkers what they can't do when really what they mean to say is what they won't do.
Okay, we'll go to Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Assembly member, I know you just said that this is more, I think, naked and abashing for your words than previous associations between the two men. Were you at all surprised to see the president go this far in support of Governor Cuomo? And then also, how do you reckon, I know you've made your own pushes into voter bases that have supported Trump in 2020 or even earlier. So how do you reckon with your own appeals to Trump voters and Cuomo's?
You know, I will always speak to every New Yorker who calls the city home. And while I'm looking to speak to Donald Trump's voters, 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo is looking to speak to Donald Trump's donors. That's the difference here. These are New Yorkers who voted for the president in the hopes of having a lower cost of living, and who instead found that their despair was exploited as a means by which to deliver the political prosecution of Donald Trump's enemies and the enacting of the single largest deportation force in American history. Now, we knew in the primary that 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo was being funded by the same billionaire donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term. I did not, however, anticipate 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo going from being Donald Trump's puppet to being so nakedly his parrot. What he has said in these last few days, these are words that should shock the conscience of New Yorkers. He has said that diversity is a weakness, while forgetting which black host of the TV show he was on he was actually speaking to. He has laughed and agreed when a radio show host said that I would cheer on another 9/11. He has stood alongside the current mayor of the city as that mayor said that he was endorsing 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo to stop a movement that was burning churches in Nigeria, to stop New York City from becoming Europe. And as Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianaris said, for 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo's closing message to be a call for Republicans to support him, it shows what we have long known, but what he was able to hide while he was in Albany, which is that 𝐍𝐞𝐿 Cuomo is interested more in his own power than in living up to the ideals that make so many New Yorkers proud to be Democrats.
All right, we're going to go Michael right here.
Assemblyman, in his post, Donald Trump very specifically threatened to withhold federal funds. He said it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum to New York City. If you are elected, that is a very real threat that you are going to have to deal with. How will you address that after you're elected if you win?
I will address that threat for what it is. It is a threat. It is not the law. And too often we treat everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth as if it is already legal just by virtue of who is saying it. And it is time to finally stand up to the bullies that make these threats, not to become the bullies ourselves. And we've seen time and time again that the best way to respond to Donald Trump and to defeat these kinds of threats is to actually stand up and fight back. You've seen leaders across this country who have shown their unwillingness to compromise on their own morals and their own values as the way in which they fight back. And too often what we found in New York City is instead a willingness to capitulate and coordinate. And all of this with the most collaborative mayor you could find for Donald Trump in New York City. Still, the Trump administration was detaining New Yorkers as young as 6. Still, the Trump administration was cutting funding from our schools. Still, the Trump administration was taking $80 million out of our city's budget, and still the Trump administration was threatening $18 billion in cuts for infrastructure projects. My point here is that even with that collaboration, the threats continue. And so it teaches us all that it's time to actually stand up and name this authoritarian crisis for what it is, and to speak about this funding as not something that Donald Trump is giving us here in New York City. This is something that we are in fact owed in New York City.
Jeremy,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.